What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the After Hours Art Stream. And I believe that's the actual name of the show. Yeah, After Hours Art Stream. I was having a mental brain fart here for a second. But yeah, I am your host, RC. I'm doing a fantastic job of hosting this show already. Not really. But yeah, I am here. We are going to be finishing up a little how to draw a woman tutorial today. I have a slight headache that I've been dealing with for the past several hours, so I'm going to strip away the bullshit and just go straight into drawing this thing because I said I was going to finish it and I just need to finish it. So, yeah. Let's first see how much battery I have in my Apple Pencil. Motherfucker. Okay. Let's share the screen first. Alrighty. Good Lord. Alright, so what I have left to do is her left arm, her face, and her boobs. And that's pretty much going to be the majority of what I'm going to be doing here. I don't know if I want to give her an actual costume yet, or if I want to throw that on at some other point, but we'll see. I've already had 2 aspirin, so I'm trying to get rid of this headache. But we shall see if that actually happens. All right. Slowly but surely. Give me a moment. I'm going to go and grab something to drink, see if hydration might help before I jump into this. I keep doing a little bit of bullshitting, but we shall see. Give me one moment. Here we are. Okay. Give me a moment. All right, I'm back. Don't know if this one is going to help me or not, but we shall see. So I got myself an Arnold Palmer. It's not one of the alcoholic kinds, which is how I was first introduced to Arnold Palmers. Actually, was it? I'm not entirely sure. I just know it was back in college. But I think having the earbuds out of my ears are helping. Good Lord. One of these things that I might want to try at some point is just doing like longer streams. Like, there's times whenever I'll want to do something after, like, right after work, and I stop myself before I do it, mainly because I have dinner and don't want to have to stream, then break, and then stream again. So I usually just do it after I'm done with dinner. But I'm trying to think of maybe even just putting up like a little banner across the page with like be back in 30 minutes or something like that would be beneficial or not, or if it would just be annoying for a viewer. I'm not entirely sure, but whenever it comes to art stuff, it's always up in the air as to how long something is going to take, especially when you're in my position where there's still some stuff that I want to learn and get better at, and I want to go through the whole process. So I don't know if I would do that for like longer hours or not. We shall see. My main thing right now is I'm just letting the Apple Pencil. Um, I'm letting that charge, and I'm also trying to get some more hydration in. Ooh, that tastes good. Yeah, the hydration. I'm mainly trying to get rid of the headache because I've had like flavored water and aspirin, obviously, but that doesn't seem to be doing much at the moment. So maybe having the earbuds out of my ears will help, and just getting some sort of liquids. All right. So let's try to do this. Get all this stuff situated. Move that up here. That here. That can stay over there. All right. I was sort of hoping that Kira would be here in the stream, in the chat, but I don't think he is here yet. He's been one of the dependable chatters over the past couple weeks. So, and he's the one who I'm mainly doing the tutorial for. So, I'll give him a couple more minutes. I should probably be charging this. Fuck it. Okay, so it's 83%. A couple more minutes. Eventually, I would love to get started on actually drawing like a full-fledged comic, but that's really dependent on how far along I am in creating stories. Because right now I have a fantasy comic, a futuristic sci-fi vigilante sort of story, and a mix of sci-fi and fantasy. All of those ideas are out there. Well, not out there, but they're like, I have them written down, and I just need to further develop them and come up with some character designs. So I may do that at some point. I just need to actually think of what the characters are going to look like and then actually put it onto a page. So that might happen at some point soon, because people have asked if I'm working on like a comic, and as of right now, it's a no because all of the stuff is like in concept stages. But I hope to at some point at least put out something so I can say, is this something that you guys would like and something that people would actually pay for? So it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Okay. Apple Pencil should be fine now. Let's jump into the arm. We can get that part started. So I started, well, I didn't start last time, but I got the right arm finished for her. And that was sort of to show a little bit of perspective. This one's going to be a little bit more straightforward whenever it comes to like measurements, because generally your hand usually ends up midway down your thigh. Could be a little bit higher, could be a little bit lower, depending on how stylized you want it to be. And let's do that right now. Oh, and also this shoulder is not going to be it's not going to be like propped up. Like she has her hand on her hip and it's like up a little bit on the other side. This one's not going to have that. Just so that there is some variety. All right, so about midway through here, there is, whoop, has to be blue because that's a sketch. All right, that's about where the elbow would be. Okay. So, and usually if you look at the arm, then the length from your wrist to your elbow is probably going to be about the same length as your elbow to underneath your armpit. So that's why I have it this way, right about here. Okay. So let's get this part drawn up. And then that part right there, right about here, would be shoulder. Now, for those of you who weren't watching the last stream that I did whenever I was starting this is supposed to be Wonder Woman, but I'm not a big fan of drawing Wonder Woman with like big muscles. So we're just not going to do that. Still going to be Wonder Woman. I'm just not going to have her drawn with big muscles. Okay. So shoulder area will still be a bit bigger. Heading on down to the elbow. Got that. And then, as we did with the other arm, this part of the forearm is going to be a little bit bigger than the wrist area. And we can have this curve down to the wrist, which I already have the wrist drawn out to where that is. And since this is mostly going to be due to perspective with how I draw this a cylinder-like shape. Oh, the headache's hitting me now. Okay. So notice how I was drawing the cylinder part on the upper arm so that it's sort of facing backwards so that our arm is like back here a little bit. I'm going to do the opposite with this part. All right. Ooh. All right, I think I figured out what type of headache it is. I think it's a pressure headache because it's like right here. Ooh. Okay. Okay, that part did not help. Oh, goodness. Okay. So, arm part is mostly done. Gotta have a crease in the pit of her arm, which, by the way, if you're getting tattooed, is a pain in the fucking ass. Because getting a needle driven into that area, which is super tender, would not recommend. That's for most people. I, for some reason, had a little bit better of a pain tolerance for that area. I have no idea how, but my tattoo artist said that whenever you're getting tattoos, the ditch is the bitch. And she was right. All right. So what you could do with this section is even just something simple like this. Just so that there is that little indent in there. Could even be something like just that. There's the ditch of the arm is sort of like the belly button of a character. You can futz around with it and just do whatever the fuck you want. Okay. Okay, is it going away now? Slightly. Okay, try and keep the rest of that for later. All right, so down into the hands. Again, there's going to be that little dip from wrist to hand. And her hand, a hand is usually about a half to maybe a 2/3 of your forearm. So, like, if you look at that size, then it's around that size. If you want to have like a more feminine character or like a petite build, then having her have a like smaller hand would be acceptable. Good lord. Okay. And that might be a bit too small. But not there. Oh, hello, JOM. If I can get my mouse to work. Hello, welcome to the stream. How are you this fine Sunday evening? Yes, finishing Wonder Woman. or at least the body type. So since you weren't here for the beginning, I do have a slight headache, so I want to try to get this how to draw a woman tutorial over, since I did say that I was going to finish it. So whether I actually turn her into Wonder Woman is an entirely different story. It all depends on if I can get through this. Hopefully I will, because I only really have to finish up this arm, um, her face, and her boobs, all of which should not take too long. Um, it's just a matter of trying to get the pressure on the side of my head to go away. So yes, that's my roundabout answer to if I'm finishing Wonder Woman. Good to hear that you're relaxing. Oh, and I just heard the rain start up. How delightful. No, that's going a little bit too far out. Okay. Let's do this. I'm gonna keep going with that. Oh, excuse me. Okay, that's not horrible. Okay, that works. For a second there, I thought I was reverting to my less successful way of drawing fingers, which those ones look like absolute shit. All right. So right about here is where those ones should end. But those fingers are way too thick for a woman. Okay. All right, got that. Now for this one. Okay. Sorry if I'm a little bit more quiet than usual. It is every time I hear like a downpour of rain, it sort of like triggers something in me, because whenever there's like a lot of rain at my place, a month or so ago, basement flooded. So whenever there's like rain just like pounding down on the roof, I'm like instant high alert. So, trying to keep abreast of that while also finishing this up. So if I say, oh shit, and then immediately end the stream, then you'll figure out exactly what it is. I don't think that will happen, though. Oh yeah, flooding is the worst. There was some stuff damaged, like some of the furniture was, and like some carpet and some walls had to be ripped out. But thankfully, I was able to. Um, thankfully, none of like my electronics got damaged because I had all of, like my gaming stuff downstairs, and that's where that was. But thankfully, that escaped it. So now I just have all of that stuff upstairs um, until I figure out what the main issue is. Because I think it was something with like the drainage. But I'm not sure which drain. So that part is never fun. I'm not clogged. I honestly don't know. It's like everything in my backyard slopes downward into one drain, and I think it just overpowered it. But I can't say for sure what exactly it was. So it was quite an ordeal. And it's something that is ongoing with trying to actually figure out a remedy for it. But so far, it hasn't acted up yet. Or since, I should say. All right, I think I could make those fingers a little bit bigger. One of the things that the plumbers were saying, and even like the municipality people were saying, was that it's only like once every, I don't know, 75 to 100 years, whenever that amount of rain just like hits, and it's like overpowers all of the drains and all of the systems that they have in place. So I'm hoping that it's not a common occurrence, because first couple months here was totally fine. There was like downpours of rain and there's no problems whatsoever. But then this one happened, and it was just like walk downstairs and it's just like ankle deep puddles in certain areas, and it's just like, oh shit. But I don't usually come on to live streams to bitch, but whenever I have nothing to really talk about. Sometimes I'll just ramble on and on and on. On a positive note, I did get my Inglorious Rex 3 package today. Um, at some point, I'm going to do an unboxing video for that and then do a review of it at some point. So keep an eye out for that on the positive side of things. So also, since I'm talking about Inglorious Rex, be sure to stop by. That hand looks pretty small. Be sure to stop by Shane Davis's Back Me Bro website and check out the campaigns there, because Shane made that site for Comicsgate and indie comics creators, and I think that more people should support him in that endeavor. Support him and anyone who decides to go on that site. Because Indiegogo nowadays is complete shit. That needs to be uniform. Okay, that is definitely a bit more manageable of a size for her hand. Looks a bit more proportional. Give me 1 second. I will actually show you what website that is. Excuse me. That site is... excuse me again. Once I share my screen. Alrighty. That site is Back Me Bro, as you can see up here. And this is... it's currently in, like, I think Shane said it was like in a testing phase. And right now he has the Starlight Cats Merlion Rising Collected Edition funding on there. And I believe today he launched the For the Fans Fest pinup book. So let's take a look at that, which is already funded, so that's good. And this is sort of like it looks like a pinup book of the characters of creators who are attending For the Fans Fest. So definitely go and check that out. I haven't had a chance to look through the whole campaign page. So give me 1 second. I just want to make sure that there's not any like stuff that wouldn't be appropriate for YouTube on here. Okay, so it looks like everything should be fine. All right. Actually looks like a really damn good pinup book. Alrighty. Gonna shift into promotion mode. So, starting up at the top. This is For the Fans pinup book. Heroes, heroines, beaches, bikinis, and welcome to paradise. So these are characters that are I cannot speak right now. Give me a second. So, pack your bags for a one-of-a-kind getaway into the worlds of comic book fantasy, adventure, and stunning artwork. For the Fans Fest 2026 is a premium pinup art book featuring incredible artists from across the comic industry, bringing their unique visions to a glamorous vacation-themed collection. From tropical escapes and exotic destinations to heroes, heroines, and unforgettable characters enjoying some well-deserved time away. This book celebrates the fun, beauty, and imagination of the very best of the indie comics scene. Just burping up a storm here. Featuring jaw-dropping illustrations and exclusive artwork from a powerhouse lineup of talent. Scrolling too fast. John Malin, Shane Davis, Ethan Van Sciver, Andy Smith, Billy Tucci, Graham Nolan, Art T. Bear, Dan Lawless, Vasilis Lolos, Shantan Jetty, Peter Gilmore, Joe M. Sontag, Chris Graves, E.J. Morges, and Anthony Gonzalez Clark. For the Fans Fest 2026 is the perfect addition to any comic fans collection. Support the project, help bring this artistic getaway to life, and join us for the ultimate vacation in the palm of your hands. Now, this is the For the Fans Fest classic cover. It comes with commemorative art by John Malin. Inside you'll find 24 pages of incredible vacation-themed pinup art drawn by a murderer's row of top-tier talent. I don't know what that means. Showcasing their characters, enjoying some well-earned R&R, along with a heartfelt introduction by the legendary Mike Barron. You may never get a chance like this again, so act fast. And that is some damn good artwork. Yeah. Gorgeous ladies in the front. Yeah. Collect this exclusive variant and experience the incredible artwork of 15 amazing artists. Watch these heroes kick back and enjoy some well-deserved R&R. I believe, no, I didn't already say that. Captured in all their stunning glory and a shimmering holochrome foil finish. A must-have for any collector. And that is the same cover, but it's a raised metal cover, which looks really cool. And there would be a sketch cover, which is blank, so that it can be sketched on, obviously. There's a For the Fans Fest pint glass, which looks awesome, featuring amazing artwork by Dan Lawless, C.G. King. I might have to get that. That looks fucking awesome. Celebrate the convention with this incredible 16-ounce pint glass featuring original art by Dan Lawless. This is the official pint glass For the Fans Fest. Knock one back in style. Pint glass is hand wash only. You can only ship within the U.S. This is so tempting to get. These t-shirts look awesome. All right, so there's the Dan Lawless t-shirt. I am so tempted to get that. For the Fans Fest t-shirt, Joe M. Sontag. Looking kick-ass. Ooh, muscle car and a chick with, it looks like thigh-high fishnets. I approve. And a Graham Nolan. I think having a cigar party with Graham Nolan would be kick-ass. The Vasilis Lolos t-shirt. Grab an oar. Oh, that's another funny thing. Remind me to tell a little story about Grab an oar. All right, so we have over in the corner, I'm going to get back up to this because I love how that artwork looks. So the reward tiers, we have $25 for the classic cover pinup book, $25 for the holochrome foil cover. Ooh. I like that. I might have to get that. $25 for the raised metal cover. $25 for the sketch cover. $25 for the pint glass. $30 for Vasilis Lolos. The Dan Lawless, Joam Sontag, Graham Nolan. Ooh, I'm tempted. I'm so tempted. But yeah, guys, if you want to go and support that, then definitely go over to Back Me Bro. Go and do that. I might have to pick up some stuff on that at some point this week. It is 30 days left. Okay, so it is this. It did launch today. I believe it was today. But yeah, definitely go and do that. Go and support for the Fans Fest. It's been a long time coming. But yeah. Oh yes, my grab an ore story. So there's so many things about this place that I've got that I learn as I go. And whenever downstairs flooded and I was tearing out some walls, I found something that I was not expecting to find behind a wall. No, it is not a dead body. It's not that crazy. But it would be something that I think is sort of destined for like CG. Give me 1 second. So this is what I found behind a wall whenever I tore it down. It's a giant fucking oar. That's like a canoe oar. So now, whenever I am promoting campaigns, I can just have my oar back here and I can just actually show that I am grabbing an oar. It's almost like this was made for me. Foreshadowing, yes. Yes, definitely. Even though I've been a part of CG since before I had this place, and it's sort of like the opposite of foreshadowing. It's like a strange coincidence, but a coincidence that I approve of nonetheless. All right, let's get back to this drawing because I need to finish it. Thankfully, the headache has diminished, so that's good. Up a creek without a paddle, the house will provide. Amen to that. That is very true. All right. Alrighty. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to draw the head and then yeah, I'll draw like a basic head. Why not? Okay, so usually with women, I try not to draw like box chins. I usually try to have either a rounded chin or a sharp one. So let's try. I may need to make the body a little bit smaller. Just a tiny bit. Just so I have space for the head. And especially with female characters, sometimes you can just like artificially lengthen their neck and it won't really be a problem. Because sometimes I've seen like, depending on the body proportions, sometimes I've seen like super long necks and it's only after I've like been looking at it for a long time and I'm like, oh, that neck is pretty long, but it actually works quite well with the art style. So, what I usually try to do is I try to draw the head separate and then attach it to the body by the neck later. So it's like if I want her to have, let's go with like a thinner head. Exactly. Exactly. As long as you follow the important rules, you can exaggerate certain features. That is exactly how it's done. It's like, now I'm losing my voice. Good lord. It's like even looking at old, old Disney animation, then you'll see certain parts of bodies like emphasized and tweaked to look entirely different from what you would expect like a regular person to look like. Like one that comes to mind for me is like Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame. And whenever you look at him, he has a very small forehead, and I think it's mostly like his eyes are further up and his nose goes way further down. So most of the emphasis is like in the nose, but you don't notice that unless you're like really looking at him. So I feel like that's something that I would really like to learn how to do and just like play around with that stuff to make it look actually appealing and sort of work that into my art style. Um, uh, but that's further on down the line. We'll see when we get there. All right. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, and right about the midway point, what I actually learned maybe like last year is whenever you're whenever you use this kind of template for drawing the face, the eyes are actually not supposed to go on that line. It's actually the line for where the eyebrows are. So if you're drawing with this and you have your eyes on that line and your face looks off, that's why. It's because the eyes are a little bit too high up. Okay, so eyebrow be about there. Other one would be right about there. And then nose. Okay. I'm going to toy around with this a little bit. I think I don't want to have her have a long nose. I want to have it start like maybe halfway up here and then build it off of here. Okay. Goodness. And the good thing with the nose is that you can build it out like you would any of these other body parts in like a three-dimensional shape. And then whenever you're inking it, that's whenever you can add in certain lines that need to be there. Because obviously you'll see like these lines that sort of look like a Black Widow symbol. Obviously those are not going to be on the final product. But the lines that are around the outside would most likely be. Well, not all of them, but like the ones that are down at the bottom that like show like the curve of the nostrils, those ones probably would be. It really depends. And then sometimes if you want to add like a little line going across the top of it, you can. Really depends on the nose that you're drawing. All right, so eyebrow right there. And we'll just build that up. Not too thick like you would with the man, but just enough that you can still tell that there's an eyebrow there. A lot of times they'll taper off at the end, and you can play around with like the the thickness and like right before the curve of the skull starts all the way over to here, like in the middle. Not like a unibrow, but like where it cuts off. So if you wanted to, you could have it like thicker over here, have it thin out, and then make it a little bit bigger or thicker right at the curvature. It really depends on just what you want to do. If you want to make her have more uniqueness to her, then you could do that. If you want to just have the eyebrows blend in, just do like a line across. All right. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, give me 1 second, guys. I just gotta stretch out my back. All right. All right, back is cracked. Now let's see. Do I do eyes or do I do lips? I think I'll do eyes because I've already done. Actually, hold on. I think her nose needs to be a little bit lower. Just a bit. Right about there. Okay. That's a little bit more manageable because I don't want her lips to be too low, and I also don't want them to be too high because then she has a big chin. And I don't know about you, but I don't usually like girls with big chins. So, what I think I'll do is I'll do the lips first. And with lips you can fuck around with a little bit. They're more pliable, but you do have to sort of remember where the teeth are. So teeth would probably be like midway between the nose and the bottom of the chin. So middle of the teeth would be right around here-ish. So if you wanted to draw, let's say, closed mouth, you'd probably have it start right around here, like with lips. And then you would have that lip built up. About there. And I have this little area right here just to provide some thickness. Now, you can do this the exact same way as you do everything else. You can make this into a 3D shape. So you have this little indent right at the top of your lip. And what you can do is draw a line down from that, down to there, down to where like the lips meet. And then, depending on how smooth you want the lips to be, then you can play around with this a little bit. Some lips can just be completely straight across. Other lips can be a little bit more full. Some you may want to be more thin. Some may not even have a lot of lines to them at all. It really depends on how you want the face to look, or like what type of character you're drawing. So with this, I want to give her some more full lips. Sort of like what you would see if you were looking at like an Ed Benes drawing. And that guy draws fantastic women. So if you want to learn how to draw women, or like inspiration for how to draw women, look up Ed Benes. He does fantastic work. And whenever you're drawing these as 3D objects, just try and follow like the perspective lines. So this one would be like right down the middle. And right now she looks like a witch doctor because of that. But that's only because of that. So I think I may have done something a little bit wrong. So sometimes give me a moment. If I make this, I'm gonna test something really quickly. Shit. Okay. So if I do this, instead make this part a little bit lower. I think that might actually look better. It really depends. Lips are hard, people. Okay, so let's try this. Sometimes stuff like this can be fixed in like the inking stage. So I'll keep that off to the side for now. Because it doesn't need to. Dear God, she looks like a cone head. Okay, I think what might be throwing me off is because I put the line for the teeth might be the reason why I'm getting a little bit thrown off. Because usually I don't do that. Okay. Give me a moment. Because I may have made everything a little bit too... What the fuck? Oh, it's because of that. Okay. I was on the wrong layer. That's why. Anyways, what was I saying? I may have made all of her features a little bit too small for the face that I wanted to draw. So I think that would be a little bit... Nope. Okay, that is a little bit more manageable. And JOM says Chris Farley loves conehead girls. Well, he would love this. He would have loved this drawing then. He was rubbing her head in the movie. Well, thankfully for me, I'm going to be drawing this one with hair. So that might help mask out certain features. All right, so think this can actually be angled a bit differently. Because right now it looks like it's not correct with where it's angled. So now I think that's better. Goodness gracious. Okay. So with the eyes, it's going to be a whole different subject. Eyes are going to be no. Okay, so they're going to be about this size ish. And then that looks utterly demonic, but if you draw the eyelids like you're drawing over a three-dimensional space, then it does help with actually making them look like they're there. So hopefully that made sense. It also helps you better understand like the size of the eyes. So right about there, that's where that eye would end. And this one would be roughly about not an alien. Nope. Okay, something is seriously wrong with that eye. That. All right. Might be slightly too big of an opening, but we'll see. Because the moment of truth is coming up, and that's whenever I draw the pupil. I believe the pupil is the I think the pupil is the black part. The iris is the colored part, I think. I don't know. I'm not an optometrist or whatever the fuck eye doctors are. it. Doesn't look half bad. Granted, she looks pretty skeletal, but this is me trying to draw a tutorial like. So I think that works all right. Now, another part that you can futz around with is like the eyelashes. Some people like to draw them individually. Other people like to draw them as one single thing. This is usually what I tend to do. And maybe throw in some extra lines in there as well. But it's really all up to you. You can draw whatever type of eyelash you want. If you want it to be like this big old honking thing that goes all the way out to there, then you can do that. If you want it to be something that's more thin and more demure, you can do that. If you want to have a combination of the two, do it. Of all parts of the body, eyelashes, you can do pretty much whatever the hell you want to do with them. For me, right now, I'm going to go with my tried and true method of more manageable, but also able to be just like one line and then you're done. That's sort of the Bruce Timm inspiration coming out. And a lot of times you can also have that sort of eyelash come all the way down underneath the bottom of the eyelash. So like sort of merging the top eyelash with the bottom eyelash over on this, like the outer side of your eye. Just a little bit. Not the whole way, but just enough. Okay. Goodness gracious. I don't know what it is with my back today. It is not agreeing with me. Oh, fuck. Alrighty. Still feel like I'm missing something. I need to test something really quickly. Again with the lips. Copy and paste. If I make them I think I made her lips too wide, if that's possible. So here's another small rule that you can maybe follow. The lips. Should I even bring this up? Probably not. Ignore what I was going to say. I was going to say The lips should usually be from like middle of the eye to the other middle of the eye. And that makes sense for some characters and for some types of lips. Other types and other expressions, you can futz around with it. Sometimes it looks better if it's more like compressed. Like I think that this is going to look a hell of a lot better compressed, which give me a moment, I'll show you what I mean. Oh wait, this is not going to be. Now I can do it. I think right now she just looks pissed off, and I don't want her to do that. And I think that's a little bit more manageable. It also looks more attractive rather than having it like pulled like wider and just being like, hmm. Because then it looks like she's like pursing her lips and it doesn't look attractive. Here she looks like, oh, she's sort of like grinning. So I think that this looks better than what she was doing before. All right, so let's move these out of the way. And now you also would have the sort of like the line between the eyebrow and the eyelid, sort of like where that little like crease is. So you'd have that. It should be another good reason to draw out the entire like circle of the eye, because it gives a good placement for those. Now, again, those are something that you can. Goodness, it's only 10:17. I shouldn't be yawning this much. Sometimes you can have those lines coming from the back of the eyelid or the front of the eyelid. Depending on the age of the character, you may have some that are underneath the eyes. If you want your female character to be attractive, try to have as little lines as possible on the face. Otherwise, it will artificially age your character. Especially women. Especially women. Okay. Oh, so many notifications. Good lord. Okay, so I think what I need to do is top of her head is far too coneheady. I need to cut it off around here. And the top of the head doesn't need to always be round. Skulls can be they can be pretty much any shape. But good thing is you can put this part underneath the hair. So I'm going to do that in a moment. After I stop yawning. Good lord. And I think. Hang on. That's more like it. Okay, so it just needed a little bit of an adjustment because I think the nose was a little bit too high. But another benefit of Procreate, you can flip the canvas. I think the eye on this side is a little bit too high. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Usually, whenever I have to flip the canvas, it's usually just seeing an eye that's a little bit too high up or too low. So I think that also needs to move the eyebrow down. Yeah. Yep. That had to happen. All right. And flip horizontal. Looks much better. Okay. I think based on body size, I need to make her head a tiny bit bigger. So let's get rid of those extra lines up there because I don't need them. And then, whoop, that's freeform. Don't want that. Uniform. Okay. So just tiny bit bigger, but enough that it is slightly noticeable. Okay. And since her head is turned to the side, that's going to need to be moved to the side a little bit because her neck is going to be in the middle. And would be right about here if I had a pen. That still looks way too fucking high. I wonder. I can maybe get behind that neck. Maybe. I need to make the shoulder bigger. Give me a second. I need to look at a reference picture. If I can get my mouse to work. Okay. Give me a second, guys. Okay. So let's try bumping her down a tiny bit. So right about there rather than where she was. Maybe right there. That's more manageable neck size, don't you think? I think the other one was just a tiny bit too high. Okay, and there we go. And then for this part, I'll do this. I'll do this simplistic. So she has to have some forehead, but not too much. So giving her a little bit, I'm going to start right about here for where her hair is. And for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to oh, come on. My hand is not allowing me to draw correctly. All right. And then that would just go right around to the back. If you want to, you can add in other strands of hair to make this into a bit more three-dimensional. Now that you have the front laid out, you can start building out from the sides. So I'm trying to think of how to do this. Okay, so depending on how thorough you want to be, sometimes all you really need to do is just put the line down the middle so that you have like that separation of where the part is, and then build out from there depending on the color of the hair, sometimes it'll be less complicated. It also depends on what your stylization is. So if you wanted to, you could even just have that separation down the middle. And then just have it be one big... Okay. One big clump of hair. And just goes all the way to like one destination. Then you just do the same thing with the other side. Or if you wanted to, you could do something different. It really just depends on what you want to do with it. For now, since this isn't really a full-on character that I'm drawing, I'm just going to do it like the easier way. Maybe I can cover hair in a different tutorial, but we shall see. All right. And then you follow it up with connecting both of those areas. Now again, this could be as detailed as you want it to be, or it can be just simple, like a little curl at the end. It really all depends on what you want to do with it. All right. Now for the fun part. Oh. Sorry, JOM, I missed that part. Yeah, you were back at the lips being like eye length between the eyes. But yeah, now to the fun part. That would be the boobs. Now, give me one moment. Whoop. Now, this is probably going to be the last part that I work on today, because I do want to actually work on other stuff next week. So, I want to get this done today. All right. Give me 1 second, guys. You need to move. Okay. So, when it comes to boobs, there's usually one way that I like to draw them, and usually that's by using the teardrop method. And the reason it's called that is because typically, unless they have a lot of surgeries, boobs do not look just like circles. They usually look like they look like water balloons that are being held up by something. So more so like this. And if they're being held up by like shoulder area, then they're going to be hanging down. So, exactly. Gravity and physics. Yeah, unless it's like a push-up bra or there's a lot of plastic surgery, there's no boob that's going to look like this. It's going to mostly look more like this. So, what I'm going to do is be coming down from about here, and what you can do is, depending on the size, you'll start right about here, near where the armpit is, and you're going to try to aim for this part to be right about the middle of where the boob's going to be sitting. Same as with this. It'll come to probably right above where this rib cage is, which is usually why I like to draw the rib cage into the sketch. And what you can do is pretty much make it as big or as small as you want it to be. So I want this to be somewhat decent size. Grab a handful of it, mainly for example purposes, but I'm not going to shy away from a big boob. But we can do that quite simply. So, right about here is where it's going to rest. Right in the middle. Then it'll come up. And then right in the middle of the sternum is where it's going to stop. So right about there is where you're going to have the boob. Now, obviously you can see that boob is going to be round. And instead of it being a complete circle, there'll still be some pull all the way up. Now, you don't need to draw the small lines that I was doing here. Instead, you will just leave the small bit for the cleavage, and you'll go from there. So, one boob down onto the other one. Now, this one would be a similar process. Start from pretty close to where the armpit is. Drop it down. And that might be a little bit too far over. I think that is too far over. Yeah, that's a little bit too much sag. So right about here is where it should be. Because this is going to go all the way over to here, so there can be that little bit of cleavage. All right. And what it's what I sometimes try to do, is I sometimes try to have that line that comes off the boob point up towards the armpit, just as a reminder that it is not a complete or perfect circle. So there you have the boob. Now, again, you can make them as big or as small as you want. Some anime characters have gigantic honkers. Some other characters just have some small ones. No problem. Love them all. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it when it comes to drawing a female character. I think I probably could have done a little bit better with the face, but that's a test for another day. Maybe that'll be tomorrow's test. We'll see if I can make an appealing female face. But that's how I usually draw the bodies. All right. So, all right, this has been an hour and 43 minutes. Good Lord. I think that's probably going to be good enough for me. Well, it is unfortunate that Kira was not able to join us today, since most of the idea for showing how to draw women was mostly because he wanted to learn how to draw women, but you can always watch on the replay. Still slowly getting rid of that headache, which will hopefully be gone by tomorrow. If it's not, then that's a problem. But thank you guys all for watching. Thank you, JOM, for sticking around for most of this stream. There was definitely some tough times for me, mainly with the old pressure. But I do appreciate it. I really do. If you guys are watching now, or if you are watching on the replay and happen to make it to this point, then please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel so that I can continue to grow and hopefully bring you guys more comic book promotion and maybe some more tutorials along the way, and hopefully some really good art. So, yeah, if you would, that would be awesome. But okay. As you can see, I am horrible with ending this, so I will see all of you guys in the next stream or video or short, whichever one happens to come first. Peace out.